Good afternoon. My name is Moaz Rizan, and today with my partner Ismail, we would like to answer a tutorial question. The tutorial question is the fundamental of liberty are absolute? Fundamental liberty are right and the freedom owned by the people as the human being where they are allowed to live their life according to the freedom given. The fundamental liberty are also part of constitution which is consist of a several articles, whereas Malaysia is from Article 5 to Article 13, such as the liberty of person, prohibition of slavery and forced labor, equality, and even more. Every article that have been written in the constitution have been set as a guarantee for the people and cannot be taken away from the people unless the constitution itself ensure the order for the matter to take place. However, this does not mean the fundamental liberty have a full power in this, because there are still some laws that are parallel or contrary to the right of the people, which is depend on the circumstance and the factor of particular situation. For example, Article 5, right to live and liberty. Everybody have a right to live and to be free. The freedom cannot be stripped away from the people unless it is according in the law. According to the court, the right to the liberty encompasses the right to the privacy, whereas the right to live, including the right to a means of support and reasonable standard of living, including the right to working and earning. However, the right of a person to work or live can be revoked if individuals have committed an offense that causes right to be revoked. For example, a person who is in an organization must obey the law of the organization itself, and if he or she somehow break the rule, they can be punished, including fired from the job. For example, case Ho Leong Equipment against Liu Fo Chuo, 1997. Liu, Liu Fo Chuo is the director and general manager in Holio Yamada Department since the 1st July 1977. He had been charged with 3 charges including the misconduct. He was accused for having a conflict of interest in the first place. The second accusation is that as APAG advisor, he was involved in organization business interests. He was being demanded to have violated the term and condition in 4(a) number 2 of the Holio Manual. As the result of this action, his involvement with Fiova Group Sindiran Bahad is the third accusation. Additionally, this behavior led to him being viewed as having violated the term and condition of B1 number 4(a) number 2 of Holiong Manual. He also was allegedly involved in negotiations of piece of land bought in the Holiong Group, where his brother was a broker. He had failed to inform the company of his part in the negotiation and of his brother's interest in the land transaction. This caused him to receive 3 letters from a company to explain the problem. He denied all the accusation, and explained his accusation orally. But he then received a 3rd letter from the company informing that he had been terminated immediately. This proved the fundamental liberty is not absolute, because even if a people have a right to work, it must be based on certain law and order he or she must obey, and fail to do so or found to be violating the rule will be charged based of organization punishment, including fire. Next, Article 8, Equality before the law and equality protection of the law. All people have entitled to equality protection under the law and equality before the law. People cannot be treated differently solely because of their gender, color, ancestor, place of birth, or religion, unless the Constitution specifically forbids it. Despite even these articles, there are still a number of cases which is involving with racism and discriminate case. This is because Article 8 does not apply to certain law, such as law regulated personal law, law related to office or employment connection with any religion or religious institution, law in the constitution of a state that were made before the Merdeka Days, 31 August 1957, and finally, law resisting enlargement in Malaysia regime to Malays. For example, case Nur Fadila binti Ahmad Syaidi against Chai bin Bashiru and others. The case fall under a problem of being discriminated against a woman. Her name is Nur Fadila binti Ahmad Shaiki, or Nur in the case as Plati. In this case, the Plati applied to be an untrained backup teacher. GSTT. Not long after she got a memo for a placement call for an interview to explain the term and condition for her work. She was given a question which was whether she was pregnant, and she admitted that she was 3 months pregnant. This matter caused a placement memo and offer to work as GSTT to be withdrawn. She applied to retrieve the placement memo, but there was no written reply. This causing her to file a lawsuit against 3 defenders: the Director State Education Department of Selangor at the time, Minister of Education and Government of Malaysia. She stated that this conflict with Article 8 because withdrawing her placement memo and job offer just because she was pregnant was considered a form of discrimination. Although this article was created, it aimed to protect people from the problem of being discriminated against each other. But this kind of problem still occur because it still requires the people to play a role in overcome the problem, and it's also a factor because every human being have a different way of thinking.
Alright, so for my part, I will presenting about Article 9 in the Federal Constitution of Malaysia that provide no citizen can be banished from entering the Federation. Every citizen has the right to move freely and reside in any part of Federation. However, this is subject to immigration laws related to Sabah and Sarawak. This situation is also subject to laws related to federal security such as public order, public health and punishment imposed on offenders. An example of a law restricting citizens' right to free movement is the Restricted Resident Act 1933 (RRE), which was dealt with in the Asa Singh case. Asa Singh tried to bring the right to travel abroad under the protection of personal liberty in Article 5 of the Federal Constitution, but it failed to work. Asa Singh was arrested under the provision of RRE by the police, with a view to forcibly transfer him to another district to preserve public safety and order. Asa Singh filed a suit claiming that this was a violation of his right under the Article 5 and 9 of the Constitution. Thus, the Federal Court opined that the enactment does not conflict with Article because it is a law related to public safety. Alright, so next I will discuss about the Article 10 in the Federal Constitution of Malaysia that provide freedom to all citizens to speak, assemble and form associations. However, Parliament may impose certain restrictions in the interest of security, public order or morals. For example, it is an offence to question sensitive matters such as the privilege of Malays and the use of Malay as the official language of Malaysia. One of the cases related with Article 10 is prosecutors against Chia Beng Po and others in 1984 Volume 2 Current Law Journal, page 383, paragraph 1, previous case. For the Peaceful Assembly Act 2012 PAA, many criticisms have been given by people from various fields. In addition, Bersih 2.0 leader Ambika Srinavisan clearly expressed his opposition to the PAA as he said, the bill will restrict our rights. It gives unlimited powers to a minister and the police to restrict freedom of assembly. But in 2014, Maina Kiai, the UN Special Reporter on the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association, criticized the Peaceful Assembly Act restriction on Yaw and non-citizens in a report to the Human Rights Council. He acknowledged that there will be security concerns when more young people participate in some public gathering. Therefore, peaceful assembly is an important tool to allow the voices of excluded groups to be heard. As a result, we can conclude that freedom of assembly is an important communication among the people to know the truth and the real message. As the conclusion, in my opinion, the Malaysian government maintains a good image of upholding the people's right to freedom of movement, speech, assembly and association, but there are some issues that still need to be improved, such as the jurisdiction of some government agents may exceed the standard range of freedom limits for humans. Human freedom should also be distributed equally to everyone, and there should be no exceptions to this right to freedom and equality. In the future, freedom will be a sensitive issue everywhere, where everyone needs more freedom to do what they love without any limitations. Therefore, the country's constitutional law will be the best guideline for people to follow and manage themselves effectively.